Hi, my name is Jonathan. By the end of this decade, by the year 2020, more than 1 billion peasants, that is more than 1 billion small farmers, mostly in the developing world, will have lost their lands, they will have lost their farms, as a direct result of neoliberal economic policies. That is 1 billion, with a B, 1 billion peasants all around the world whose lands, whose farms were stolen by big agriculture. 1 billion peasants who were kicked off their lands by large agribusiness corporations. This is a result of the IMF and World Bank forcing structural adjustment programs on developing nations in order to receive loans. IMF and World Bank forcing these structural adjustment programs where big agriculture, large agribusiness corporations can come in and just kick off millions of peasants off their lands and just set up operations there in the developing world to in order to provide for the large shareholders who have invested in these large agribusiness corporations. So that is 1 billion peasants over a 30-year period from like 1990 to the year 2020 who they have lost their farms and they are forced to move into slums in urban areas, and as a result of these free trade agreements, like billions of people now have their standard of living has just plummeted as a result of these free trade agreements. So, over a 30-year period, 1990 to 2020, 1 billion peasants have lost their farms. And land is a greater commodity, greater capital than money, or even gold, even precious metals. Land is the most valuable form of capital. And so their standard of living just plummeted as a result of losing their farms. So, like in 1990, about 85% of all food grown in the world was grown by small farmers, by peasants. But by the year 2020, that'll be approximately only 45% of food grown in the world will be grown by small farmers. The rest, 55%, by 2020 will be grown by big agriculture. So that is the hugest injustice happening in the world right now. That is astronomical. 1 billion peasants by the year 2020 whose farms were stolen and who have just been kicked off their lands. And capitalism has this spin that, well, all around the world people are looking for better opportunities in the developing nations, so they're moving to urban areas to find, better opportunities. But that's not the case. What is happening in reality is they're kicked off their lands, and they do not want to leave their lands. Land is the most precious thing to a peasant. The ownership of land, one's identity, one's cultural identity to that land, to that farm. And so they are not willingly leaving their farms. They are being kicked off their farms. So again, that is astronomical. By the year 2020, 1 billion peasants losing their lands as a result of neoliberal economic policies to advance the money pockets of large shareholders who are investing in these large agribusiness corporations. So, biggest injustice in the world, the rich are getting much richer and the poor are getting much poorer as a result of these free trade agreements, as a result of capitalism, global capitalism. So, hugest injustice in the world. So let's give justice. Let's seek justice for these 1 billion small farmers, 1 billion peasants who've lost their lands. Thank you.